Well, welcome back to another episode of the Culture and Covenant podcast. I'm your host, Timothy, and today I want to talk about something bigger than just one person, one controversy, or one viral moment. Over the last several weeks, social media has been captivated by a story involving a popular public figure who built a platform around helping people navigate life, relationships, and personal growth. But as questions began to surface about credentials and qualifications, something very interesting happened. The conversation quickly stopped being about verification and started becoming about validation. It seemed like every attempt was made to get away from the question, can this be proven? And it started becoming about, why should anyone have to prove it at all? And that shift reveals something deeper that's happening in our culture, because we live in a time where authenticity is often treated as a substitute for accountability. If someone is confident, relatable, influential, or appears to be helping people, many people assume that that should be enough. The logic goes something like this. If people are being helped, who cares where the authority comes from? But I would argue that's a cultural question worth examining, because throughout history, authority wasn't simply self-declared. It has always been recognized, tested, and affirmed by a community. And that's where on this episode, culture and covenant begin to collide, because culture often tells us that the individual is the highest authority. We've begun to confidently say things like, I know who I am. I don't owe anyone an explanation. My truth is enough. My platform validates me. While covenant causes us to ask different questions like, well, who knows you? Who can vouch for you? Who has the right to challenge you? Or to whom are you accountable? Y'all, these are not just professional questions. These are spiritual ones, because covenant has always involved community. In scripture, leaders weren't merely self-appointed. They were recognized by others. Elders were examined. Teachers were tested. Witnesses confirmed testimony. Authority wasn't isolated from accountability. It was connected to it. It was always connected to it. Yet modern culture increasingly separates the two. We want influence without oversight, leadership without examination, authority without verification, freedom without responsibility. And when someone asks for evidence, credentials, or accountability, the sad part is people immediately start to interpret the questions as attacks. But maybe the real issue isn't the question that's being asked. Maybe is that we've become uncomfortable with having to answer to anyone at all. And so today I want to explore why our culture increasingly resists accountability, why covenant depends on it, and what happens when personal influence becomes disconnected from communal responsibility. Because y'all, this conversation really isn't about one public figure. It's about all of us. It's about the kind of society that we're building. And y'all, I've got a super qualified guest, and I've invited them on the pod to talk today on this subject so that we can discuss whether we're forming people who simply demand to be believed, or can we still find people that are willing to be known? Y'all, this is going to be a good one. Let's get into it. Y'all, welcome back. Shout out to my brother, my boy Veal, who made that track that you just heard. Y'all, we got an intro music and stuff. This is dope. And let me say, before we get into any of the discussion, I need to thank you guys, like sincerely. Thank you for supporting the podcast, for sending messages, for sending episode ideas. Y'all, the first episode has like 2,500 views on it. And that is literally because of you. You've watched it, you've shared it, you've gotten involved. And so I am so grateful to you. I am so motivated to keep this going. And here we are, episode 2. And y'all, got a special guest. I got somebody I know pretty well now. I got somebody that I couldn't wait to get in this other chair. Y'all, I got my wife on the pod. What up, baby?
Woo, 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 woo.
Okay, you're not going to be dry today. No, listen, I'm excited. I'm excited because, I'll let you tell people a little bit of your background, your studies and things like that. But the subject matter we're talking about, I don't just have her on here because she's cute and because I love her and because she's my wife. This is actually her space that she can speak to. But without further ado, just tell the people about yourself a little bit. Brag on yourself a little bit, Gary.
I don't really like to brag on myself, but
you got to today, because if you don't, I will.
Okay. I'm Jessica. I'm his wife, but I'm also a PhD student in sociology, and I study religion, family, and race. And I really feel like that's it.
And a mother to 3 beautiful boys. And if y'all can't tell, one on the way. We got baby girl on the way. I know some of y'all are just finding that out, which is fine. That's okay. Big announcement.
4th child comes with delayed announcement.
Hello.
No one cares.
It wasn't none of y'all business anyway. Anyway, but here's the thing. By the time this drops, we will be probably within a week or 2 of delivery for baby girl. So super excited about that.
Or we'll be parents of 4.
Or she will be here already. Yes. But y'all, I got my wife here because she is a subject matter expert on people and society and some of the reasons why we interact the way we do, the reasons why we think that we can do certain things and not do other things, or have to answer for certain things and not have to answer for other things. And so I thought literally there's no better guest, and we live together. So it's easy. Like, we can record this episode anytime. Well, not really. We both busy, but I'm so glad you're on here. So thank you. Like, you're genuinely, welcome. I know you.
I would like to qualify that I do not consider myself an expert, but I do read a lot of literature. Mm-hmm. So I feel like. So
then the rest of us, I just know how to land. You hear that?
I know how to properly land my thoughts.
Yeah.
That I'm not just speaking out of my own opinion.
I love it. Good. All right. So let's get into it. There's been this stuff going on. You and I have had a lot of conversations. First of all, hold on. Let me add. We have been thinking about doing something like this for years, just in general, because our conversations around certain things in the news, on social media, it is podcast worthy. Like, most of the time when we just put a mic on and hit record, it'd be good content. Mm-hmm. But I'm super glad that we get to talk about this today. So we've talked about this already at length. We have talked about this quite a bit. And so we both have some opinions on it, which I'm excited to explore. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about even starting from the perspective of how you think we got here. Because some of the conversation we've had is that if this was back in the day, if this was maybe a decade or 2 ago, somebody might not even be comfortable enough to just outlandishly say something like that and think it'll work, to be able to try to cover their tracks, so to speak, and think it'll work. And again, it's not just about that individual, but it's about the society that has been created around this individualism that causes someone to think, oh, that'll work. I can say that and I'll sound confident. Mm-hmm. Talk about that. How do you think we got here?
No, because in 2026, we can do what we want to do. We can break laws and it's okay.
Okay.
And I know that's a big statement.
Yeah.
But I think that's just the time that we're in. Like, back in the day, it's like, you don't do these things. Mm-hmm. And that was a guaranteed line. Mm-hmm. And it went from like law breaking to morale. Like, there are just certain things you don't even do, even broken down into like gender norms. Like, women don't do a thing, men don't do a thing, kids don't do a thing, kids don't hear a thing. Right. But now, like, all of those lines are blurred. We do what we want to do. I can do what I want to do. Right. You can't tell me what I'm going to do. Right. And especially like with social media backing it up, the world backing it up, saying, you know what, that is right. You can do what you want to do. And so it's like, there is no authority to tell us, no, you can't.
I think part of our conversation too is that we kind of had this feeling, and y'all feel free to, like, y'all know this is a conversation, so it's not just us, y'all are involved in this. We kind of had this opinion, I think a shared opinion, that this would not have worked in a different time period, because a person on both sides, right? A person that would want to make a claim like this would understand there are people that can invalidate my claim, that can say stuff that would have had to have been there, that would be able to say, no, he lying, she lying. And they wouldn't want to maybe set themselves up for that type of trouble. But also society in general, I think was willing to do more scrutiny, was willing to ask more questions or to do more verification before you were to get so much access or influence. It's not that everyone would do it at every step, but if you reach a certain level, you didn't get past a certain point before everybody was able to understand. Like, in other words, not that frauds were always caught, but I don't think as many made it through to such a high level where everyone can see them. And I think that has to do with the fact, I think the shift that has happened is that we've become, to your point, we've become so individualistic that no one can tell me anything, but also I don't feel safe to say anything. I don't feel safe to call you out. We saw around this particular thing, some people doing that on social media, but the truth is everybody's not going to see it. It's not going to make mainstream. Our news is on social media. So I'm only going to see what I'm going to see. You're only going to see what you're going to see. And our society is so siloed and broken up. Do you think that that has an effect on a person not just being willing to decide, like, whatever I say goes? Like, I own my truth and y'all can't tell me nothing. But does it also contribute to the fact that some of us, tell me what your opinion is, either we're tired, we're jaded, we just don't feel like it, we're lazy, we don't want to call it out, we just don't want to get involved, we just don't care? How much of that plays into those things?
I don't know. I think it just depends on like what we're talking about. And with this, like, there's so many things that you said. I'm thinking back to the idea of when you said back in the day, it wasn't really like many forms of like what I was thinking about, just checks and balances. Sure. Because I think back in the day, it was like when you identified as part of a group, it's like being part of this group says exactly what I believe. And so now when you're a part of a group, it doesn't necessarily say what I necessarily believe. It's just because I align with this group because I want to. So I think that that's just something that has shifted over the years.
And we see that in more places than just out in the world. We see that in church as well. Like, you and I have identified, and some of our friends as we talk have begun to realize there used to be very bold lines between certain denominations. And it seems like it's a melting pot where it's a little bit of everything and everybody. You got Baptists being very charismatic or for lack of a better way to say, looking almost Pentecostal. You have people proudly saying, when this wouldn't have been a thing before, I'm Baptist-costal or I'm Baptistolic or whatever, blending areas and arenas that previously were butting heads in such a crazy way, or even friends in these different arenas being willing to be like, no, that's my boy. I don't care what you say. We'll invite the apostolic preacher over to the Baptist convention or the Baptist preacher over to the apostolic convention. Those blends, I think, can be beneficial in some ways. But what is the danger, in your opinion, of blending, not just with that specifically, but that's a byproduct of what you're talking about in society? What are some of the things that are a benefit of that, but what are some of the things that we really should be paying attention to? Because we still have a covenant, we still have something to uphold. And I think to the point, a couple of the points I made in the intro, it really is about the fact that in today's society, we should still be able to verify that you're valid. Like, I think we should. That's why I'm a preacher and I have licensure and credentials for ordination. Like, I have my own things to be able to say at any point, hey, here's how I got here. I'm not just taking a platform. But what are some of those benefits and some of the dangers that we should pay attention to? What are your thoughts?
I think, that's such a like funny slope, because I don't fully have my even opinion on like this whole denominational breakdown. And like,
I do.
Well, no,
I kind of like it. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I kind of like it.
I have my opinion, but like, do I love just going around saying, I'm holiness and I'm proud of that? Like, flat out, because
are you still okay
here's
with
the
that?
thing with 2026 and saying I'm holiness.
Talk to us.
Me saying, Jessica saying I'm holiness and I'm proud about that. If I'm saying that to Jane, she might hear that
Yeah.
and translate
Completely
that
different definition.
as something totally like far left that I'm not.
Yeah.
And then when Jane now sees me like in the streets, and it might be something totally like innocent on my part.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's not holiness, and you said you were.
Right.
And so it's like, it's so hard with this whole idea of like really fully claiming to an identity. But then it's also like we have to live in the truth of what is your favorite statement, that we are not a monolith. And I think we have to walk around with that reality that everybody is just not the same.
Yeah.
All Black people don't come from the projects.
Yeah.
So all holiness people might not look like Sister so-and-so that you're always used to.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we have to adapt, to that full idea that everything is just not as linear as we try to make it, for the sake of being able to grasp the idea of what something actually is, that things are fluid, but we still have to be careful with how fluid we make that, because then we do live in a thing where it's like, I'm Baptist-costal and I don't, because now we're blending, that's where we're now starting to blend like beliefs and experiences.
Right.
But I don't know if we want to lean into that, because then that goes into a whole thing of like communal conversation and what we allow within our own group, because I feel like some people would allow that and some people are like, that's just not really a thing. We're just living in this imaginative world of something that doesn't actually exist, because it's kind of impossible for those two things to coexist.
And to your point, I think that, so, you know, we are privy to different things that happen. And there are times that I'm like, you ain't gonna be able to get the worms back in that can. Yeah. There's some cans we have opened.
Yes.
Right? That the worms are out.
The worms
and then
are
you
out.
can, if you're wise enough to play the movie forward, you're like, this is not gonna end well. This is not going to, what's the term they use for when something is said, this doesn't age well. You can tell beforehand that certain things are not going to age well. I can hear some of the dangers you're talking about with some of that blend, but that's just, unfortunately, the church reflecting that is just a mirror of society, because I would also argue, and I think we agree on this, that instead of the church influencing society, society has definitely begun to influence the church. I think that the church has taken on some of these things because it's the norm and because we're okay with just, let's not be as strict, or let's not be as this or as that. But I think it has its pluses, right? To be able to declare what it is, to be sure. But to your point, people got different definitions for everything that we talk about. Yeah. But with that, even societally, I guess let's jump into like some of what we talked about with the bigger issue with what's happening. Okay. I think we have shifted so far away from doing our due diligence in culture, that it's either I just don't feel like it, so I don't care. So I'm not even going to get involved, or I don't feel like it, I don't care, so I'm just going to be lazy. I'm not going to do any investigation, even though it's important to our healthiness as a society in general to allow things or not allow things. But I also think we've gotten to a place that this only works because people are also willing. What do I say all the time? Willful ignorant. People are willingly ignorant. Like it's almost like it feels better, less stressful, safer to be out of sight, out of mind on certain things. Or like plausible deniability. I don't even know the details, so I don't even care. I ain't even looking to that thing. But the issue is we're still living in the society that whether you contribute to the conversation or not, it will affect you. Yeah. It will come down your street at some point. And I think the bigger thing that we started talking about with this is that our culture in general, or the cultures that be, allow not only for a person to feel like they can do this, but there are people still backing that position. There are people going, it don't matter. Like, it was helpful, right? And okay, I'm not, y'all give us, your feelings and stuff in the comments. I'm not trying to knock that. I just want to examine it. The fact that you had people, even after something like this, something so controversial, that light was shed on it, that people were still like, well, it don't really matter actually. However, and I definitely want to hear what you think on this. However, the only reason, maybe I shouldn't say the only reason, I would maybe argue the main reason you listened in the first place is because you believed the credentials existed.
Yeah.
Or else, why did the person need the credential as part of their name, as part of their platform to get where they were? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you just got a bunch of great skills and a bunch of great advice and a bunch of great perspective and wisdom, you could just do it as you. But you knew this would open doors. And so what you used to open the door, the key you used to open the door, then all of us have also bought into that key. And I find it very strange that when we discover, oh, you picked that lock. Like you didn't have a key. You didn't earn that key.
Right.
Then there are people that were cool with it at first that will make a sudden shift.
Yeah.
We didn't just see it around this. We have seen it in the last couple of years in the political arena.
Yeah.
That people will go, here's a quote from this particular person. And we won't say any names on here, but like, here's a quote from this particular person. They go, yeah, I disagree with that. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. Like they'll set them up. They're like, I made a mistake. That's actually from so-and-so. And then they agree with it in the same breath. And I'm like, have you lost your mind? Mm-hmm. What do you think is a bit of what's behind that? And let's even I think part of our conversation is the spiritual aspect of this conversation. But also, if that's where we are, where are we going?
I think the biggest thing is like identity. That's my favorite thing.
And talk to it so that we don't run the risk of what we just said, that you say identity and we get 20 different definitions.
No,
Define
I'm
that
going
for
that.
us. Okay, do that.
I identify as this because that whole sentence right there is a big thing now of like what you identify and what's that then causes someone else to have to accept. Mm-hmm. But I think like we need to really stand on like who we are. Yeah. And so with that being said, it's funny, like in what you're talking about, there's a main group of circles I feel like that are like, no, like this is not a valid thing that you are claiming. Yeah. But it's because I identify, for example, I identify in this space as an academic claiming this. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I am very much sold out on the fact that I am an academic. You cannot tell me that I do not lead by academia in how I think. Yeah. And I'm not led in academia in how I think. And so I think that is something that leads in how, in my perspective, in my opinions. And I think it's that space is so fluid now, so gray, because something else that just came to my mind is that we also have a very heavy deconstructionist culture. Yeah. And so it's like in that mode of deconstruction, I don't really identify with anything because I'm trying to figure out, society has put on me all these identities and now I'm trying to sparse out all of them and just live in this free bubble gray of air. Yeah. And so that's now we're Purgatory. Oh yeah, I do agree with that. Oh no, I don't agree with that. Right. And so now we're talking at both sides of our mouths and it's like, well, you know what? Whatever they want to do. Yeah. Because it's like, you're not out here claiming anything. Yeah. And I think that's where we are in this world. But you said that there are still groups that are like, we ain't doing that. We have seen those. We have seen some of those rise to the top, right? Yeah. And I think this one was very loud. Yeah. This situation was very loud because the person that we're talking about was loud to begin with. And so I think that there was this collective need to go, no, we're going to be just as loud to fix it. However, I would maybe argue, you tell me your thought, because I see you wheels turning. I would think that those groups that are like, are the few in number. While most people are just like, because I feel whatever. Like they came out the woodworks a little bit after, if you think about their responses. Okay. They didn't come out till like, they weren't the first responses. They're like, at first it was like, I think like, you don't have this. It's like you kind of heard both sides, but it still was airy. And then it was like then the people who actually have like established identity, like your academics and your professionals, they were like, wait a minute, let me grab this argument back and like pull it in and gather some context so I can teach you guys so we can actually have a stance to stand on, because like we're arguing over something, but the argument that I'm hearing in the air doesn't really make sense. Let me tell you, like, give you some facts to stand on first.
Which I respect, though. To your point that we didn't hear a whole lot of people rebutting quickly, because I think people gave time.
Yeah, I agree.
They gave a chance for explanation first before they were like,
right.
Because the explanation is what made people go, hold on. Nope. I love some of the people that got on and was like, okay, let's respond to this, because I also was in the same program. Right. And I also have this, and I can also find this, and I can also still do this. They were literally like going, this is apples to apples, and I'm telling you that that's not an apple. That one's rotten. But I think there's a little bit of healthiness in these groups that are still willing to combat some of this stuff, because they didn't just do it because it became a hot topic. They waited to see what the response would be.
Yeah.
And I think some part of our culture, some part of our society don't do that either. They shoot first and ask later. Yeah. And then end up looking stupid online. So I think the attempt to also go, oh, we can't, I really don't want to tear this down. Successful particular person of a particular demographic and all of that. Like, I don't want to tear this down.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to, okay, now we got to right the wrong.
Yeah.
But here's a hard turn I want to make. This is a conversation you and I have all the time. All the time. Because this ain't new. No. It was just loud on social media.
It was.
This happens a lot.
All the time.
In the church.
All the time.
This happens a lot.
All the time.
Why? Okay. All right. Let's get into it. This is Culture and Covenant. We don't have safe conversations. We create a safe place for hard conversations. Why is this okay in the house of the Lord? Because remember, we talked about culture. We're slowly going to make that transition to talk about the covenant, right? But in the place where a covenant is established, this is also okay. Why, Jessica?
But is it though?
Okay, let's do this. Let me ask you a question first to see if I can establish our foundation for where we're going with this.
Okay.
Is something okay? Now we're talking about in the church house, because now I think we're going to be able to talk about some stuff here. In the church space, is something okay because we've all accepted it? Or is it okay because there's a standard that has none of our opinions in it to begin with? We got to establish that first. Aha! Welcome to the Culture and Covenant Podcast. Because you know where I'm going with this, because you know me. And I'm not trying to paint you in a corner. I want us to establish something, because
I'm not in a corner.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, for sure. Oh, but you know where I'm going, because there are people listening that are saying, there are some people saying one thing and there are other people saying the other about the same place. And I think we need to first clean that up.
Yeah.
I think we first need to establish the truth around what we're building on. So let's talk about that. Yeah. We understand culture, whatever it says goes. For example, we've talked about this in society, and I've had this argument or discussion with other people. In society, a word ends up in the dictionary because we all use it.
Yeah.
It could have been made up this year.
Right.
And end up in the dictionary next year.
Mm-hmm.
So things are subjective.
Yes.
But in the church, we're not supposed to have the same type of governance as the world.
No.
It's actually upside down, which means whatever they do, it should almost feel like the opposite. And so let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about it and stand 10 toes down, because I know where you stand on this. This is just good discussion. Saying things are okay. Is it by majority, or is it by an established standard?
Okay. I
Cook,
think there's
baby.
two sides.
Cook. Come on, talk to us.
Bible things, like biblical like things, right?
I see you trying to make a
Some
safe
people-
answer.
No,
we ain't,
no, no,
okay, all right, good. I was about to say.
No.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
I think there's a thing. You got to walk with me
Yeah,
here.
let's go.
I think
let's go.
there's a
okay.
because it's like I don't want to like throw out a thing and it's like that's not really even like
Sure.
realistic of like how we all operate.
Sure.
So like Bible standards, because like this is something we talk about too. You cannot define something that the Bible has fully defined, something like love, and then say that there is no definition when we all
Or that the definition is fluid. Right.
When we all own Bibles of all sorts and can read definitions for ourselves.
And there's scriptures that say like God is love.
Yeah, and so
let's ask him what the
let's
definition.
at least kind of try to aim to something of what that looks like. But you can't just flat out say that there is not that. So like this is what I'm saying that it is, and this is like the standard and stuff. Yeah. And so I think there are like biblical things that it's like, okay, we can all like commonly like, I mean, there's like, we can't all commonly come together and be like, this is what it is, because the Bible has established that for us. Sure. We have no opinion, like, placed
that overrides. Yeah. Yeah.
But then that's why we have denominations for our other things.
Right.
And we have the freedom.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to let you cook. I'm going to let you cook. I got something for you, though. Go ahead. And
I don't want to like, just walk into my whole thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't have all night. But denominationally, I think that's where we go into our like separates with our doctrinal things.
Yeah.
Of standards that have been, let's just say it, man established.
Okay. All right. Let's pause there. I like that. I think some would be man established. Too many people want to be chief, split, separate. I'm going this way because I think it's right. I'm going this way because I think it's right. Okay. But there are some denominational differences because of how one interprets the Bible. That there are splits because when you're saying the Bible has established something for us, we're all on the same page. There are people that read the same verse and get two different things out of it. So let's talk about it.
You start.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
I feel like I just want to
your
like.
wheels are turning though.
Well, no, it's because I want to just jump into the fire and just like be on. But I want to like the match first. But I feel like I have no way to like.
I like it. Okay, I'll like the match.
Yeah, because I'm just
I'll drizzle the gasoline down. And then I'll hold the match over and you go ahead and knock it in there.
All my thoughts are like pouring the gasoline and then just throwing the fire. And I'm like, wait, light the match first. Because I just don't feel like doing this.
I got you. Okay. I think, I'm just going to make a bold statement, a bold claim. I think because society over time has become more and more unraveled in convictions, just society in general, not even talking about biblical convictions, but just more and more unraveled, more and more disconnected from what I believe and knowing what I believe. And then that has now bled into the church, and people don't feel like it's safe to be in the church where you're supposed to have a standard, or churches don't feel like it's advantageous to stand 10 toes down and to be a little flexible. I think we're seeing a whole lot of different things, but also I think that though you were talking about man-made rules, I think the unfortunate part is that ego and pride have allowed people to see the same verse, the same topic, different ways because we have done it void of actually asking God for what he was saying. I think that's how we have gotten there. Yes. Is that if you and I are reading the same thing and we ask him, he's not talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Right.
He would say it. But the thing is, our scholastic endeavors, our need to be first for discovery or revelation, our race to be able to be the one that has oh my goodness, we have an epiphany about something revealed in scripture. I've heard from the Lord. You want to say it first. but you race to do that instead of to be accurate. I think that has started to mess us up where, and we're going to get back to the main thing and keeping the main thing, but I think that has messed us up to where even to the effect of you can't tell me I'm wrong because everyone can claim I heard this from God. Mm-hmm. Everyone can claim the same thing. Where if it was actually the truth, if we actually knew that we were hearing from him, everyone would have heard the same thing because God he don't disagree with himself.
Yeah.
And so that means somebody's wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Which lends to, or well, go ahead. It looks like you got something before I keep going.
No, I agree because we've also, on top of like agreeing with that you've heard from God, you've also paired it with some scripture that said whatever you heard, and it could not apply, but because of whatever happens here when you're following like that, we all agree, and now you have this whole communal agreement. Or
I needed to explain something away or have a new revelation of something that makes my life more convenient, that goes directly against scripture. Yeah. And so then I hear from the Lord. And the thing is, the people that gravitate to me also wanted to hear that same thing, also wanted to be validated in that same
trauma
space.
Bonding.
Right. It could be trauma bonding, or just, I think that happens a lot in church, or it could just be the fact that I want to go somewhere that affirms what I already believe or what I already feel is right, instead of going to understand what is right because that's an established standard. And to the point of how we really got here is then to circle back in the church for something to be okay. Okay, let me paint it like this. In the early church, there were councils. Prior to councils, the scripture even tells us that when there was something they needed to discuss, they came together. Yeah. Communal. We need to all address this together so that nobody can say, I'm just going to run with this.
Correct.
Because everyone would also be able to go, I know we got some people out there, but they're not even to be paid attention to. They're doing their thing out there, and everyone that is willing to adhere to the fact that we have a communal system and process for validation will also understand that person, forget whatever they're doing. You always going to have somebody. But you have the apostles that would gather and talk about things. Then you have the councils that would discuss things for the church, early church. They would come together, they would debate, they would disagree. And then at the end of it, there was something that came out of the council that everybody said, okay, we'll go with this. The arguments were made, judgment is passed, this is what it's going to be. However, now, and you know, I'm a little crazy, I'm a little radical. I would fight for a one church type of, or one church system, so to speak, because they're without having a centralized direction to be validated, to get correction, to get direction, like the Catholic Church, for example, right? They got one pope. No matter where you are in the world, you don't got no rogue popes. Everybody knows who the pope is. If we had that in the Protestant space, then you wouldn't have people that can start off, we're talking about credentials. You just became a minister today. You then started pastoring tomorrow. And then by next week, when we were trying to say congratulations for your new church plant from last week, you're an apostle now. And the thing is, so I have a friend that had been operating in the gift of an apostle for years, and it was understood, but still felt the need to be affirmed, to have something so that it's on the record. We don't do that.
No.
We don't do that. And we know some of the clear benefits, but I think that's a result of how society has happened or has done things. So when you're talking about certain things that are okay versus not okay, where does that line go? Because it can't just be Bible then, because we see in the Bible different. How do we find the standard that we all adhere to? How do we all know what is okay and what's not okay? What's the right answer? Yeah, come on.
What's the right answer?
What I'm saying is, what should it be? What should it be? Like, I could just kind of argue for a one church model, right? Like a centralized leadership, all of that. That if you're going to have credentials, we could be able to trace it. Everybody got certificates. I can make a certificate in Photoshop right now and have whatever I want. And go online and pay $100 and become a bishop right now. Like, unfortunately, we have a lot of that, which is also separate conversation. Well, maybe has watered down the value or the authority or the weight of said position. So then how do we get back to knowing what is actually okay and not okay? Because I think that's part of the issue, right? We both love the church. We both serve in leadership in the church. But the thing is, there are people that just don't want to mess with the church because this is what we look like when they look at us.
Yeah.
Where fix the puzzle, like the best you can, like kind of speak to that.
Babe, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Because let me say why. I don't know, because sometimes, some days I feel so hopeful, like, you know, I feel like the Lord has revealed, like, to you and giving you vision, and like we have all these ideas and we're just going to stand on what we know and just believe. And then sometimes I start scrolling.
That'll do it.
We're lost.
Yeah.
We're lost and there's no hope. And so, like, I don't mean to just like give these worn out, I don't know answers, but I really don't. But other than, I think, I wish people, kind of back to what we were saying, I wish people were way more confident in just what they're standing on.
Talk about that. Explain that a little bit. Because I like that. That could go a couple different ways. Explain that.
I wish church, I feel like, could form and we could like operate and perhaps even like then like move from like, oh, okay, I understand this a little bit more now because I'm actually operating in the actual knowledge and understanding thing rather than just what I've learned from Instagram, what I've learned from chat and stuff. But the actual idea of like reading and gathering knowledge from legitimate sources and
putting in the work
and saying, okay, like this is my belief of this thing. And actually then being okay to put your name on that and be like, well, this is what I believe in. And this is kind of and I think if we all had this confidence in what we knew, then we can also operate in more legitimate dialogue and form something more, not only legitimate, but something of more substance. Because right now, I threw out that whole trauma bonding thing so quickly because I feel like so many things have been created out of trauma without even thinking, without even like any further research or counsel or anything. It is because of just something you might have seen and disagreed with. And so now I want to do the opposite. And now I'm going to form, but there was no thought into this, let alone like the Lord sanctioning and all that stuff. That's a whole nother conversation. But let's even go to just like, let's even just put ourselves in this. No one ever just took at least maybe a few years, a year or something, and just like read and researched and said, do I really feel like this? Or am I just feeling a type of way about so-and-so because this just really got under my skin because I don't really care for this whole thing.
Certainly not the majority. And I think part of what we need a return of, now I'm not trying to be like a fire and brimstone preacher, but like the strict or the restrictions. So I don't even know if I want to use the word restriction, but I think we need to get back to people being willing to say something is right and to stand on it. Because it feels like the only people that do that are the fire. Like even just now, I tried to like soften that, because it's so, we were literally, I know this is a little off the subject, we'll come back, but we were just watching somebody that was preaching on like hair enhancements or different things like that and saying you'll go to hell for hair enhancements. The issue is that particular person can stand on that because we have no overall governance to go,
right,
this is what we should believe and this is what we have biblically based. That person can run with that into eternity.
Yeah.
Right? But I think what we need to get back to is that type of boldness because he's bold to say that. I shouldn't say he, but we here now. He's bold to say something crazy like that, but it seems like the boldness is only relegated to like people like that are very staunch.
Yeah.
The famous names we could mention of preachers that we just know or leaders that we just know just say crazy, strong, strict stuff. I think the principle though needs to be reestablished. But also, this just came to my mind at the same time. To your point, principles are only established because we all agree, because we all submit. Is there a path back to that? Because what we see in church, the elevations out of nowhere, we ain't even got no pictures or videos of how you got there. You just popped out a bishop. You popped out an apostle. You popped out an archbishop. Like we don't know how you got there. And then I think some people don't care to fight. They just go off in another corner. But also we have, by and large, just false credentials, or people being willing to call themselves things that they haven't earned. Like, I ain't never met so many doctors in the church that ain't got no doctorates. Like that specifically. Because to say you're a doctor so-and-so is important. Now, you and I may differ on this a bit because you are not too far away from having an earned PhD. Like worked and earned this PhD. You are at literally dissertation phase as of this recording of this podcast. But also, I think that an honorary doctorate for someone that has a resume full of things that you would have done as a result of learning the same things you learned in school or exercising the same things that you learned, I feel like that person, it makes sense. It's an honor afforded to them because of the work that they've done. I think. Now I know you're gonna have a different opinion. I know because you literally are about to be an earned PhD. I get it. Now we can have different opinions on that.
Yeah.
But what we both agree on is that if you don't have that and a background in it, and if you haven't earned it, then there's no room for it at all in any other circumstance. Like no. I don't think someone that got an honorary doctorate because they're popular should be called doctor. No. Like, I just don't, I don't think that's okay. I also don't think someone should be calling themselves doctor if it's not societally accepted that you would go by doctor for the type of degree you have. For example, we're about to get in trouble. It's okay though.
It's all right.
We're
already
in
trouble
now. That if in your field, people with your degree are not typically called Dr. So-and-so, it doesn't make sense because you're not being called doctor in your field. You're using what you've earned in your field and applying doctor elsewhere. Does that make sense? Or am I speaking too much in code?
No.
Does it only make sense because you know what I'm talking about?
No, it makes sense.
Just in general. Because I'm not being as specific. I am trying to talk in generalities.
No,
but I do have an example in mind.
No, I mean, you can give the example.
No,
I'm following
good.
you.
I'm going to leave that off. I'm going to leave that example off. But at the same time, it's accepted because people either won't challenge you or are too lazy or just whatever, or just accept what you say.
Or they don't
but then
right.
there are people that just make up stuff as they go, that Absolutely. Say things are true that are just not anywhere. Like, you can call me doctor now because I'm in the program. You can't do that.
Or people just started calling you doctor and you never corrected it.
You just let it ride.
And then next thing you know, the whole body is calling you doctor, and it just started out of nowhere. I think that happens.
Okay, yeah. What is the root of that? How do we get here? Yes, ma'am. If y'all don't know, my wife raises her hand. Oh. Like she's an she told you she's an academic. She raises her hand.
Because like
all the time.
Jumping in conversations is so hard sometimes.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I think the premise of my whole thing is
you're so cute.
Why
are.
Do you need
so
that?
Fine.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Back to what you're saying. Good.
Why do you need that? Like,
right. Talk about it. Okay, this is good. This is a good direction.
When I get my PhD, I'm okay with you still calling me Jessica.
Well, you do have a stipulation. Okay. We're calling you Dr. We're calling you Dr.
And
Veal.
like my husband called me Dr. Veal for like first 30 days. Yeah. But that's just because it's like, it's funny.
You being goofy. Yeah.
But I mean, realistic, like it does nothing for my like ego.
Right.
For like.
Talk about it.
For the body to be like, oh, Dr. Veal, blah, 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 blah. Because I mean, that does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't change the amount of things that I know about a thing. And I think that's what's most important to me.
That's so
because
good.
I can have all these like doctors behind my name and you giving me like, Reverend Dr. So-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, and all the things. And I can't articulate the difference.
Yeah.
I'm putting, what does Pastor say? Daniel in the something.
Yeah, he says don't put the 3 Hebrew boys in the lions den and put Daniel in the fiery furnace.
But you calling me doctor.
Right.
I'm confused. Yeah. And I think we
got enough people who earn doctorates doing that anyway.
Exactly.
Don't be somebody without it.
Exactly. And so it's like, why do you need the extra labels? And I think that is one of the conversations that needs to be had about this whole ego thing, especially within like ministry context of having to have this handle on your name first because your name alone is not enough. And I think there's leading into another thing of this whole like horizontal honor. Of like, because I know I wanted to get back to that idea of like submission. I think we've lost the whole idea of that in all contexts, not only in like ministry of like yielding to like your pastor or bishop or whatever, but I think it all starts in like we're having arguments within the world about husband and wife submission and what that means when again the Bible says what that looks like, but we have our own traumas and interpretations of what we're going to do and not going to do. And I think in some of these spaces there is no room for ego, but we have brought them in, and now it's gotten intertwined with what our definition of these things look like. And so it's like, I'm not properly submitting, and I'm doing it according to what I think it is, but that's intertwined with what has now been established for me of what I've seen, and also trauma of what I feel like I'm not doing because of this is not what I'm going to do.
And I think we've over time really attempted hard to redefine things that already have a definition.
Yes.
Like we're not defining things. We're not adding something. It already exists. We could just submit to the definition, because talking about submission, if there's a definition, we should just submit to the definition. The issue is we are so intelligent and so smart and think we know best. And so we have enough gall to go, well, this is what it means to me. And that's one of those cans that when you open that can of worms, you will never get the worms back in that can.
And we always got to like it.
Oh, talk.
Like, oh, another statement. What's another Veal statement? You ain't got to like it, but it's right. Tag Tyler.
Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to Tyler. I ain't got to like it, but it's right.
But there's so much truth in that. Like, like we don't always have to like it sometimes. I think that's one of our callings in like Christianity and ministry. We're not going to like it all the time. I always joke, well, that's probably too TMI to share on here, but there are certain things that I feel like I do just because I feel like the Lord has called me to do it. Mentally, I don't think, I'm gonna be honest. You know how like people say like, I literally only do this because like Jesus is in my life. There are so many things that applies for me in. And it's like, we could laugh and joke about that, but there's a reality in that thing, because I think there's also, rabbit hole, performance. Performance has shown us that we got to always like it. And that is not always the thing, because it doesn't then make like the calling, I think, so special and such a sacrifice. And it doesn't make the idea of a yoke like real. Yeah. And that's so good. Like, there are so many things I've literally just submitted to the fact that, like, this is how I live because like God has called me to be this way. I would
otherwise do something.
Out here twirling.
If I was my own,
I'd be a whole different image up here. Yeah. But I'm not. Yeah. And do I like that all the time? Of course not. I see all these things that I like, but that's just not what I'm called to. And that's okay.
Yeah. So let's talk about this accountability piece, because we know that accountability is very convenient whenever it's applied in culture. But why does covenant demand it? Why is it that it's not a covenant without accountability? Because this is very countercultural. Covenants are very countercultural. For example, if you take the Lord out of it, right? Okay. For example, and you have just two people, can you have a covenant without it? Is it possible to have a covenant without accountability?
I don't know if that's necessarily then a covenant.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
I think the minute you remove it, it can't be, because a covenant is that we're making an agreement.
Right. Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know if the agreement part is what makes it a covenant, but go ahead. I want to hear what you're saying.
So here's why I think a covenant is an agreement. All the covenants we see in Scripture, it's a two-way conversation. Yes. Even if the covenant was placed on you, someone else made an agreement. For example, the one I'm thinking of, the one that placed on them was Samson. He did not make the agreement to not cut his hair. His mom did that for him. And so he had to abide by the covenant she made.
Yes.
Okay. But it's an agreement because it's going to be mutually beneficial. God and Abraham, God and Joshua, Isaac, Jacob. There was always a mutual benefit. You serve me, you serve no other gods, you look nowhere else, I'll fight for you. I'll be for you. You don't sin against me, I'll provide for you. Like, there's always a mutual benefit. In covenants that are, so to speak, horizontal, right? I know that we have the part that we honor God in the fact that we have marriage, but we said I do to each other.
Yes.
We didn't say I do to him. So that was an agreement between the two of us, because this is mutually beneficial covenant. We both benefit from one another. I think because both parties have to agree, there has to be accountability, because one, I don't think now that anybody could, and I'm going to walk this lightly because I just gave the Samson example. I don't know that in today's time, and y'all tell me if you disagree, and you tell me if you disagree, that we could be in a covenant unknowingly or unbeknownst to us, or that I didn't agree to this, but I'm stuck in it. I don't see that, especially now being in the grace dispensation.
I agree with that.
That we don't necessarily have to go through someone else to get to God. However, we do hear from him through people, right? Right? How can they hear without a preacher? How can that preacher preach except he be sent? That's more accountability, because we can verify whether you were sent or not. We'll go, that can be another thing. But I think that accountability has to be in it because of the fact that in every agreement, there are terms.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, if you remove accountability, can you still have a covenant? I would argue you can't, but I wanted to get your honest opinion about if it could exist because culture has been able to operate without it. So can covenants also do the same?
No.
Okay, talk to me.
So, okay, gotcha. And I think we started on this with like the whole submission thing. So like, let's go with, I think I would do better talking about this with like, let's go with the marriage example.
Sure.
So,
which we need to do an episode just on that by
yeah,
itself. We will.
Yeah, we do. But the whole idea of, I don't think that our covenant is properly enacted if there is no accountability here, but also here. That's why I was like kind of disagreeing with like the whole like agreement part alone that made it the covenant, because see things in diagrams.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I think for there to be a covenant, like, okay, like there's an agreement, but I think that's just an agreement. I think what makes it covenant is this piece right here.
I like it. I see where you're going. If there's no this part of the diagram, then I don't know if that's a covenant. Just an agreement. It's just an agreement. So watch this. Okay, finish what you're saying. I have a question for you, because I think it'll help us.
And so I think that in our covenant, like if it's just an agreement, I think there's a question of accountability.
Okay.
And how far that goes. But because this is now a covenant, I am fully accountable to you, and you to me, and us to the Lord.
Right.
And that's an always considered thing. Yeah. I think in agreements alone, there is room for individualism. Not fully, but I think there's room for what's that word? Like you can bring something else in. It starts with an S. I don't know.
Gotcha. But because I was about to say flexibility, and that ain't it.
No. You can add, like, I can add things into it. But I think in a covenant, like there's no room for that. I think that's the terms are set. And that's it.
So then is this what I'm understanding you to say? And I think this is going to help us. That we can agree, we have mutual benefit. We could also stick to it and submit to one another, and that's an agreement. But the fact that we also consider that we made this agreement before God. Yeah. And that God is holding us to keeping the commitment we made to one another. That's what transitions it to covenant. Is that what you're arguing? Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. And I think because of that, to the point that I made in the intro and just kind of this overall idea, is that then that means there can never be a single person covenant. Like I can never just make one by myself without having to submit to another person, without, like, it's always communal. And then again, it's not just an agreement. So we also have to submit to a higher authority. In this case, what we're talking about, even I think covenants can exist. Someone submits to a higher authority that maybe they don't call it the Lord. But for us, we're talking about that higher authority being God, right? I think that that's the stark difference. And the issue is that I won't say no one, because I just don't like speaking in general like that. But I think by and large, we have gotten away from being comfortable, being okay with deciding to restrict ourselves, to humble ourselves, to submit ourselves to something outside of ourselves.
Oh yeah, because we got control problems.
Oh, say that.
Control problems.
Say that. No. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
it. Yeah, but I think like that's the thing. Yeah. And especially like I can't speak for former times, but I know I can't imagine like millennials and even like the generation before ours. Yeah. We were made to be this way though, like by society. And so I think like that's that whole war. Like we have to remember also like that's why I think like there's just so much spiritual aspect of this. Like because it's like I'm not trying to
go into it. Go into it. No, go into it.
But it's like this whole war like of really yielding to our flesh, but thinking that like, oh, like I'm doing this for like, okay, I'll be transparent. We were at the doctor and talking about like, what's that called?
I know what you're talking about.
Instead of just like kind of just inducing.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting water break in the middle of the flow, like just saying, oh, well, like there's so much more plan. And like,
because we've done that. It's not like it's something wrong with it.
And we've done that. I'm open at this point to always.
Our 2-year-old was a scheduled
induction.
Yeah.
And beautiful experience, very planned, very on time. Everything went how it was supposed to go. And I thank God. But then there's something to, like you said, my husband looked at me and you basically said something to the idea of, I think there's just something to letting God be God and doing
sometimes
what he does.
Let God be God.
And I'm like, Dad.
And by sometimes I really mean all the time, but like that helps us to recenter ourselves to that.
Yeah, and it was to recenter me saying, well, yeah, but I think we should do the induction because of all these other things that I'm thinking about. And it did recenter me because it's like, but for what? I don't have any like medical thing that's concerning me to where I need to get the baby. Because I think there are caveats of like, I think the Lord has put these things in place, where you use wisdom.
And the expertise
but like,
of people
let's
that
just
have been
be
trained.
honest.
Yeah.
If I'm honest about my control and desire to just wanting things to be in place and for things to be planned, that was an issue of control and trying to take a process that God is already over anyway, because I can plan an induction date and that water break the day before and it's still out of my hands. But it's just like, we do that with so many things and really it all goes back to just wanting so much to like, I think, be in our hands. And I think that translates to so many things that we deal with,
I think in the world, in the church, in marriages and relationships in general, people want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want to conveniently apply covenant or like this idea of mutual submission, accountability to a higher authority outside of ourselves, until you have to feel the restriction.
Yeah.
Until you have to actually, like, restriction is cool. For example, the speed limit is cool until I'm late. Like, I'm cool just driving, and we do that. It's all about convenience for us. It's all about what I say and what I want and what I think is right. And I think that our relationships, our interactions, there's place for that. Yeah. But I think we have gotten out of control. Yes. I think we've gone so far to where now we're in what we're discussing is the fact that now it would almost be like, well, who actually is in a real covenant? Like, who is actually submitted to someone else and to something outside of themselves? Who, like, I would argue every pastor needs a pastor, right? I know we're not getting into the church conversation deep in this with regards to this, but like every pastor needs a pastor. But that's just not because it sounds cool to say. I think every pastor needs someone that can correct them. You know what I mean? That's right. Get your drink of water, because I was about to reach over there and get me some too. It looked good. I was getting thirsty. Thank you. God bless you so much. I can't do this with no other guests, so I'm going to drink some of your water.
I hope not.
Almost choked. I think we've gotten to the place where it's very normal. That's the argument that we made when we were talking about this before, is the initial scenario that we started this off talking about, that it only worked someone being comfortable to just be like, no, because remember, part of the issue was, all right, we're going to get off of this. And we've been recording for a minute too. But the part that really, you knew this, what got under my skin bad. I didn't say sin bad. I said skin bad. What got under my skin very deeply was that particular person said, well, it was like, why not just show your proof? Why not just show your credentials to put all this to bed? And the response was, because I don't answer to people, I answer to God. Here's my problem with that, though.
Yeah.
Is that you actually don't. Maybe you do, just not the God of the universe, not the one that created everything and spoke everything into existence. You can't, it can't be the same one that I know, because that God would not let you, would not authorize you to operate outside of his moral standard either. I even was like, what I look like? An officer pulled me over. Go, let me see your license. I ain't got to prove to you I got no driver's license. Yeah, the reason you have a credential is to be able to get credit for what you've done. Credential. Well, maybe that's not the root word. I don't know. You the academic. Y'all let me be stupid over here.
But that's a learned behavior, though.
Or just an accepted one.
Yeah.
Because if this is a thing that's very public, you've been, to your point of it being learned, you've been doing this. You've been doing this. And that applies for this particular specific situation. It applies for people in the church.
I was going to say, because people say that all the time.
Enough. I think because culture has gotten away from accountability, like it's happening in the church too. We see example after example, and we won't extend the podcast to talk about it, but people that will like have, and also I'm not one, you know my position on this. I'm not one that when somebody has a fall or a failure in the church and they're a leader or a pastor or something like that we got to beat them to smithereens. We got to no, because that's also society influence in the church, or else what is grace? What is mercy? Because we have allowed cancel culture to bleed into the church. So I don't believe we're supposed to beat somebody down, but also where's the accountability? Yeah. Where do we go? Hey, you going through something. Yeah. And so I'm not just going to say I'm going to pray for you. I'm really going to mean it, but I'm also not going to invite you. You're not going to be in my pulpit. No. Not this Sunday. No. Give us some time. Don't mean you'll never be. No. Like I don't want people to be excommunicated. That's evil to me.
Matter of fact, I'll probably call you next week.
And I'm going to prove to you that I love you. I'm not just going to do it in saying only. Yeah.
But I'm also not going to invite you to come.
Yeah, because I think that we have to also say we are all submitted to a higher authority that has a standard that we have to be okay with going, this ain't even got nothing to do with what I want to do. Exactly. This is protecting the standard that has been established. And so I think without accountability being in the world, there's very little accountability, or it's convenient accountability. Which is really not accountability at all. But we see it starting to leave the church. I kind of want to touch on this last thing. If you can share with us what you think happens, so that maybe this will be a warning, maybe this will help somebody. Give us when someone's influence and their level of influence somehow disconnects them from accountability and responsibility. Where they get to a point where they're almost untouchable. Like, talk to us about how that happens. How can we prevent it, that people of great influence still have to answer?
I think, number one, they're always being that they're at the forefront. That image of like the covenant image should always be able to go down in whatever system, model that is set up.
I don't know if you realize you knew you drew a cross, right, when you did that. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's accountability this way and this way. That's a cross.
Come on. Because I'm thinking about like how I see this being most successful. So like we are accountable to God, but then they're coming down and then being this more like horizontal. So there's a vertical accountability, right? Yep. But then like not even coming down, because I'm thinking about more ministry than just the layout of life. Yep. But then there being like a board of like elders or like a something.
Which I'm a fan of. I'm a huge fan of. Yeah.
And so then there's like them, and they have horizontal accountability to each other, sitting on whatever thing that they are often agreeing upon, and but then they oversee maybe whatever leader who has more accountability horizontal, which I think first is with spouse, but then maybe some other clergy friends or whatever that looks like. And that can also just go vertically as well. But notice how like that same diagram like is following. I think that is the safest way to always find yourself operating. When something leaves in that vertical and horizontal thing, I think you got to be very careful about where you're operating and how you're making decisions. Because who am I making decisions for and with now? Am I going rogue? Because if you have nobody here and nobody here, I could almost promise you whatever moves you're making is in rogue direction.
Could very well be, yeah.
And because you're now within your own head. And if anyone knows, if anyone knows themselves, when you get into your own thoughts and your own head, things can go left. And things could
the Bible says that.
Yeah.
That the heart, I'm paraphrasing, but the heart is deceitful.
It is.
It is just, it's going to do what it does.
It is.
Unless we have a governance to what that heart is wanting to do. That governance has to be the submission to the Holy Ghost, to also people the Holy Ghost puts in your life, right?
Yeah.
I think to your point, that vertical line where you were pointing to it as well, I think people have gotten away from being accountable to people that they also serve, like people that are under them.
Right.
Because I haven't seen it done well often. Well, no, I can't say that. I'm very thankful I have some really, really great examples. But I will say we have more cases of the opposite, but I don't know that people know how to be accountable and authoritative. They choose one or the other, as if they're opposite ends of the spectrum. I am the authority over you, so I can't be accountable to you. Because when accountability rises in certain instances, then what they do is they assert their authority. Unfortunately, people that are not willing to experience a mutual submission in this, like none of us should be playing God.
No.
None of us should be playing God. But I also think when things are done well, when things are in balance, honor exists too, where people that are under will honor who's above, but also should be able to call you on something.
Absolutely.
And maybe you get a chance to defend it, which is fine. But like, especially in our society, it's not like we have choices. Like we can go to the church we want to. We can do all those things. Like we should be able to speak into things as long as we're doing it with the right heart, right spirit, all those types of things. We could literally go on this for a minute. I'll just add this to what you said, and then feel free to give any last words. I think, unfortunately, we have gotten into a space where influence is its own authority.
Yes, I agree.
Like we've moved in that direction.
Yeah.
Maybe that's been in existence already, and it is what it is. But we just see it more. We see it more because I think there are people that have influence that are not up front. And having influence is having some type of weight in someone's ear, in someone's life.
Yes.
So I would argue that maybe influence is authority. What I'm really getting at is I think that our very visible influence has given us, in a societal context, an authority that other people are submitting to and bowing to. Someone's famous enough, they must be right. That type of deal.
Yes.
Someone has talked to enough. I don't know where you came from, but you're talking to enough people I do know in public. So because I like them or trust them, then you must be solid. And I think that we do need to get back in culture in general, but I don't know that we stand a chance in culture.
Yeah.
I think we need to get back to, I was happy to see some of the pushback on this last situation and the way people did it very intelligently, very honestly. But you know this about me. I'm not just saying this for the pod. Like my heart beats for the local church and how crazy we look sometimes keeps me up at night. How crazy we be acting. It is the thing that, like, that is the thing I feel often is like,
it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is, because Jesus still wants to win the soul.
Man.
Like, in my heart, I care very deeply for two groups. One are people that were in the church. Maybe I'm thinking of my peers growing up, that very many of them are not in the church, like in a traditional formal type of church setting anymore.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean maybe a lot of them haven't given up on God and all that, but I do believe there's strength in assembling. I think there's strength in being able to be around the body and being intentional about that. So I think that there are some people that also have just given up on church because of the type of nonsense that happens in church. So, I care very deeply for people that are like that, the church kids, even maybe that you grew up in, or maybe you joined as an adult and something happened. You're like, I'll never go back. I care very deeply about those people. And then also the people that said, y'all crazy over there, I'll never give you a chance.
I'll never give you a chance.
I'm not coming over there because y'all are wild. Because the problem is, the reason I feel for those people, because sometimes, a lot of times, it's our fault. Like if I'm outside looking in, I'm like, yeah, that's crazy too.
I know.
That's crazy too. And I think, I don't know how we can do it besides just chipping away at it.
Yeah.
One scenario, one instance at a time. But I think part of it is that people don't want to be, and this is going to sound like we're talking out of both sides of our mouths, as crazy and as uninhibited, I guess would be the word, that society is. People still want structure.
Yes.
When they come to a church, when they come to an institution, because you're supposed to be established. You're supposed to have some guidelines. And even if I'm fighting against it, really, like, my bones want, like, I just said my bones are a structure. Without it, I'm noodles.
Yeah.
So like, people do deeply want that. And sometimes we look crazy. We are not even accountable to our own rules, to our own things. We're not accountable to the things we just said about the people across the street. We say, you can't do this. And then when it's our turn, we don't do it either. And so I don't know what the answer is, but I just know that this is somewhere where where culture and covenant clashes. This is somewhere, and maybe we just need to have more conversations about it. Maybe we need to expand the conversation. I don't know if there's one answer. I think there's ways that we can all contribute, though, to just making sure if culture ain't going to uphold it, covenant has to. Because, like, if we don't have that, then is it a covenant at all? And if we've all said that this is what we've decided to adhere to, we got to be accountable. We got to be willing. And I think that's why it's also still important to be credentialed, to be authorized, to be covered by someone, to be answering to someone, to be able to point back to who it is that sent you. I think that that's really important, especially now more than ever, where anybody can just fly and do whatever they want. I think the church needs to follow what we see in scripture, in the fact that nobody was ever just out there. They were always sent. And so we talked about a whole lot of stuff. Any last thoughts, anything you want to give, any things that are on your heart that maybe someone listening, you feel like maybe the Spirit is pressing you to say or encourage them?
I don't know if anything's that heavy, but I did want to make this last point.
Sure.
That I think one of the biggest things that's on my mind about how you can begin, like, maybe I'm not a leader, maybe I'm not like a ministry leader, or I'm not a pastor or anything like that. I still think that you can be practicing this model of how to properly find your place of accountability by how the Lord has created family, I believe, for a reason. And like, there's so much intentionality of just like the things that he places in our lives that are just kind of like, I don't want to say by happenstance, but that we're more likely to just always have. And like, something dawned on me, like when you were talking earlier, I am probably the best leader because of our children, that I get to practice with them on how to be. I find that
your leadership
they are
has developed
accountable
as a result
to me,
of them,
but I am accountable to them. I say things that they can bet on, because I do not take being an adult in their life as power.
Authority. Yeah, no, that's good.
Something
That's
my
so
kid
good.
said to me really touched my heart, because I don't do it for him to say that this is what you do. I do it because I take it very seriously, like me being their parent, because I mean, they're about to be adults in the world and I would like them to not be terrible. But I remember him saying, you know, mommy's gonna like bring me a sandwich at like school or something. I'll be bringing my children Chick-fil-A and stuff at lunch. It's a long time. Sorry. And anyway, and you said something to him like, how do you know mommy's going to do it? And he said, because she said so. And she always does what she tells me she's going to do.
That's so good.
And I was like, oh, I'm glad he knows that. Because if I told him I was going to do it, that means I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to always have that testimony in both ways with everybody.
Yeah.
If I said I was going to do it, then that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
If I gave you my promise that this is how I will be in this relationship, then that is my job to fulfill that until the end. That is the agreement that we made.
Yeah.
And I think that is something to always consider and to practice in your alignment with whatever that is in your life. To always just be mindful, like just don't be out here shooting at the hip with things, like being intentional about your relationships and who you're accountable to, because that matters. And it really does. And it's not even just it matters to God thing, but the people that are connected to you, like that is so, I think, just so powerful in itself of like them being able to have the testimony that you always were what I needed, because that's just good. The way that we're supposed to be. Like God has a system. Yeah. And we're helping, by being in place like that, we're helping the system function a little bit like how it's supposed to, at least.
I love it. No, that's good. You got anything that you want to tell them is coming up besides this baby?
I was going to say, I'm having a baby.
Yeah.
Pray for me.
Yeah.
Labor's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, it is. And I really appreciate you being on here. You already know this would not be your last time. We're gonna have some more conversations. Thank y'all for hanging with us through this. I know that this was a lengthy one, but I think a necessary one.
Oh yeah.
Because it'll be easy to just lose hope with what you see happening, how it's all falling apart. You kind of alluded to that in the very beginning. It's easy to just feel like I don't have. Y'all do what y'all doing. I'm jaded. I'm done. But we all have a part to play. Yeah. We all can. And really, what it sounds like, the bottom line for what you're saying is that you really just have to make sure if I govern myself, and prayerfully I can find other people that govern themselves. We're all contributing individually. We can hopefully find some community that still upholds the fact that in covenant there has to be accountability, and it's communal. It's going to be something outside of myself, because the truth is, no matter how good I think I am, I can't trust myself no way.
No.
I need people around me to go, hey, you're slipping. Hey, you're falling off. Or, hey, good job. Oh, really? Was that a good job? Yeah, people outside of you can tell you good job too, even when you don't see that. Yeah. And so hopefully you've been encouraged. Keep sending in your topics and stuff. I've been getting DMs about different topics, or I've had some friends just send me posts. They was like, I think this would be a good conversation to talk about this particular post. And so y'all keep doing that, please. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for being on, baby. I appreciate you. Y'all give it up for Jessica Davis Veal right here. Come on. Put some claps or whatever in the thing. We ain't got no live studio audience. We just got a sleeping 2-year-old over there, because that's the only time we can record this, when the baby sleep. And then I don't know if you're gonna be on for a minute after this one comes, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, we can put her in the little.
We'll figure it out. We got to have you on, because this conversation is very helpful. And y'all let her know how helpful it was. If something was said that you needed to hear, let us know that. We need to know that. But yeah, until next time, we appreciate y'all. I think I got an idea for episode 3 out of this one too, which is really cool. So y'all stay tuned for episode 3. Thank you so much for your comments, for your likes. Please subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube. Like the page on Facebook. Share this with people. Put it in your stories. Give your opinion on it. If you disagree, post it and disagree so that we can have some discussion. This is not supposed to be a thing where everybody got to do what I'm saying or what we're saying. Just let's have some conversation around this. If you have a good point, offer it. Let's expand the conversation. But just stick with us and hang with us. And I'm so motivated, especially after stuff like this, to keep going. So thank y'all so much. Appreciate y'all. We got some really cool special guests lined up. Like us on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram. I ain't got no TikTok yet. I ain't messing around with all that just yet. But share it. Let us know what you want to talk about. And we'll see you next time. Appreciate y'all for hanging with us on another episode of the Culture and Covenant Podcast. Bye-bye. Good job, baby. Fine girl, you cute.